Today is September 26th. It's a little after 11:30. I want to call to order the Town of Cohasset Sidewalk Safety and Connectivity meeting. And thank you for punching the agenda up there. In attendance, we have myself, Jay Pimpare, Frank Giacchetti, Julie Rollins, Paul Grady, and Brian Joyce. We have 5 members, so we have a quorum. Thank you. And so the first item of business is any topics not reasonably anticipated within 48 hours. Anybody want to bring anything up before we get started? And again, I hope today's fairly quick.
I'm just going to throw it out there real fast, Jay. As people can see, Elm Street is being done. Thank you, Brian. We have Smith and Cushing being done. And so work in progress.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm going to have Brian just give a quick little update in a few minutes about that. But awesome. And I saw you post, Paul. Great to see Elm Street's moving along. Drove by there yesterday. All right. So we'll circle back to that in a couple minutes. Approvals of minutes. Carol, or what dates are we looking at for approval of minutes here so I get this straight? Because I did see you sent them around.
Let me see.
I think it was August.
So it looks like it's September 7th and September 12th.
September 7th and 12th. Okay. I didn't have any comments to those. I know, Julie, you had maybe made a quick little comment on those. I just to move this along so that we're all up to date, make a motion to approve the minutes of September 7th and September 12th.
I'll second that.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. So I think we're all up to date on minutes. That's fantastic. Thank you, Carol.
You're welcome.
The next item of business is kind of the one that's been outstanding for a little bit, and it's the vote on the vice chair. As you may know as you all know, Ralph unfortunately resigned from the committee. Ralph was the vice chair, and we had not filled his position, and it would be great just to have somebody in that role as the vice chair. Really, it's not a big lift. Really just act as if the chair can't make something or, this meeting, but I try not to have a meeting if I'm not going to be available. So it's really just kind of a little bit of a sounding board on a question, or maybe kind of helping out with the agenda or something. But as you can see, our agendas are pretty kind of boilerplate anyway. So not really a big heavy lift. So, just really need to have a name there associated with any type of a committee. So with that, there are 5 of us in the room here. I would like to nominate Julie Rollins for vice chair.
I'd like to second.
So I do hear a second, but I also want to throw it out there. If there are any other nominations or anybody who would like to be a vice chair of this committee. Having not heard any.
Sorry for
Did you give it long enough? Did you give it long enough for anyone to descend?
Maybe that's why a couple didn't call in today.
Yeah, maybe we should check with Tori and with
Yeah. The agenda probably scared him away. Well, having heard a motion and a second, I'll take a vote. All those in favor of Julie Rollins as the vice chair, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, so that passes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0. Welcome aboard, Julie. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, so just a quick little update here from the DPW. Brian, Paul kind of summed it up real quick, but if there's any little bit of an update you can provide. Obviously, everybody knows or should know Elm Street is in, I would say, full bore. Looks like they started the milling, a couple other parts of town. Would you mind just giving a couple minute update on what's going to happen over the next few weeks in town?
Yeah, so they started on Monday, and I will say, trying to pin them down to an exact date a week prior to the work is virtually impossible. So we've mentioned a lot of times before, we share this contractor with 11 other communities. So we were able to get them Monday because it was raining and they can mill in the rain and they can't pave. So they came from Duxbury, where they were supposed to be paving, to do our milling. At any rate, they're back there today, and they're going to come back to town on Thursday and Friday to complete the milling on Elm Street and Margin Street. So thus far on Monday, they got Smith Place done, the piece from Smith Place to Pleasant Street on Cushing done, and they've got one lane going eastbound on Elm Street complete, around the island in front of the development as well. So they'll complete the westbound lane and then Margin Street in its entirety up to Atlantic Ave on Thursday, Friday. At least that's weather dependent, and the weather looks good right now.
Yeah.
That will be followed with a level course on all the streets, and then they'll come in and do curbing and in any structures.
So would you anticipate that all the work would be done by, for this phase, like November 1st or end of October?
Let me just look at the date. Yes,
Give or
I
take.
would say, yeah, by end of October, we should have nice streets we're driving on. If we go
Okay.
beyond a month, I mean, we give 3 weeks as an estimate out there because you have basically 3 different subs. You have a milling crew come in, and then you have your covers crew come in. That takes a few days, and then you have your curbing crew, and then your level course. So it's really 4 different crews that come through, and they're all that have their own schedules.
Yeah.
Even though it's under one contractor, they're working in multiple different communities.
I did notice on Elm Street, so it almost stops like at the end of the triangle, right where the entrance. It's almost like where the diagonal parking to the Legion area, designated Legion area, whatever you want to call it, where the diagonal parking kind of starts, or shortly after that, the stop. So it stops before the big construction entrance to the condo development. Is that where it's going to stop for now?
So I'll have to drive down there today. I drove over that section yesterday, but I guess I didn't notice the exact stop point. But yeah, the vote was to go to the driveway from the select board.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense because there's so much going in and out of there anyway, and we'll continue to be going in and out of there. I think stopping at the construction site there is the way to go. And if we have to come back, next year, then come back at it. And I know, Brian, you and I talked, so just for the rest of the commission, and I know, and Paul, you're on the select board, so please chime in here if need be. The select board clearly made a vote on the no parking in specific areas around the triangle, and looking for safety measures. We kind of discussed a little bit of the safety measures, although we haven't nailed those down with respect to like a bike path around the triangle in front of the condo development there for safety concerns, etc. Not having parking there. When I talked to Brian earlier today, we were both in agreement that for this, there'll be a milling, and then there'll be like kind of a rough course, but it'll still be a nice course of pavement. But in the springtime, the whole area will be repaved with a nice top coat. So there's no reason to get into heavy details with respect to crosswalks, and there'll be minimal crosswalks, but they won't be the exact what you see. Maybe November 1st will not be the final design on paper with the signage. No sense to spend a lot of money on that, but come back in the springtime because it's all going to be paved over again. And when it's paved over again, then we'll put the final road signage in there. And is that correct, Brian?
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, the base course, it'll be a nice drivable course for the winter, but the top course is going to happen in the spring. And there will be lines painted, the double yellow line and the fog line will be painted, but doing all the sharrows and extra detail work beyond the crosswalks and things like that it doesn't make sense to do them twice. And there is some curbing to be done by the developer in the spring for the sidewalk around the harbor walk on that transition on Margin Street. So that'll be done, and then the top course will come up to meet it. So it'll be a nice finished product in the end.
Right. So
I have
go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, maybe for Brian. Brian, question for you. I don't know, and I could be wrong, but that's true. I was up there yesterday. It's still wide enough. And my worry is that they're going to park there anyway. So what do we have in mind to see that they don't park there? Because
where are you talking about?
Right in front of the CHP.
So-
drop offs, things like that. We just want to ensure that they don't. So would it be like bike lanes, or would it be, are we?
So, I
Maybe-
mean, we have all winter to develop what you want to put out there for
Okay.
final painting, but I'd imagine, we could do, if you don't want any parking, the traditional thing is kind of a cross-hatched area. Or if you want to do a bike lane, you could paint a fog line with a bike symbol inside of it or something like that.
I'm not sure, but
Oh, that's all. I know.
if I can't resolve this, then I have to come up with another.
Yeah, if somebody else has, I don't know if Carol, if that's you in the background or someone in the background, if they wouldn't mind just muting their line, please. I just hear a lot of that talk in the background. Thank you. Yeah, so just to clarify that, yeah, great question, Paul. And again, I think we can probably put some minimal controls in this fall. But one of the responsibilities of this committee over the course of the winter will be to come up with a final plan on what the end result should look like with respect to like bike paths, etc. And I think we'll have a pretty good idea once the road is fully paved and the sidewalks are in and you can kind of see. So that'll be something that definitely, and I've talked to Brian on this a few times, is to make sure that there's significant input from the sidewalk committee when we start to finalize the road signage plan, if we'll call it that.
Yeah, and just in reality, I mean, the development's going to continue through the winter and into next summer. So, there'll be no resident parking for the development on that corner. Construction vehicles will still be, passing through there, but I don't see parking along that area on a daily basis typically. So, I mean, for the winter, the controls will just be, kind of whatever's there right now. But once the development's done and before the development's done, we'll have our striping in place, which will include either the cross hatching or bike lane or whatever we decide.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Yep. All right, I have to run in a few minutes, but the only other thing I wanted to bring up is the select board has asked the sidewalk committee and at least one member. I'm going to make every effort to be there. I've asked Brian to really be the voice here more than me because I think he has more of the dollars and cents answers to some of this. Is next Monday night, October 2nd. I believe it's at 7:00. It's in the community room of the high school. Is going to be a public forum on one of the warrants that will be on the town hall meeting. Is the school stabilization fund and the roads and sidewalk stabilization fund. Last night was the town, if anybody watched it, last night was the town hall and the fire and police station. I thought it was pretty good discussion. There were a lot of questions from some of the old timers in town who've been around for a while, and great questions for that matter. There wasn't really a heavy discussion, although probably lasted 45 minutes between the two. They did show the video for each one of those, which I'll get to in a second. And so if anybody would like to attend, I guess it's not a formal sidewalk and safety committee meeting, but feel free to show up in person and or participate remotely. My understanding is similar to last night. What will happen is that we will have we'll show the video. The select board will say a few words, and then Brian and I, more Brian than me, will be there to just answer questions from the audience. And hopefully there aren't many. I think the sidewalk committee, what we're trying to do speaks for itself. Last night, there were questions about town hall and how many employees and the parking and then blah, blah, blah. People could go on forever about that. But, I think that this should be hopefully straightforward. It's just an opportunity. I think what the select board doing, the select board has done in this new select board here has been amazing in throwing out new ideas and bringing the public together, and with these public forums and police station, fire station, etc., roadway stabilization fund. So this is just another check along the way to get to town hall meeting. So if you want to show up Monday night, I will forward that information to everybody. I know that myself, Paul, and Julie have done a roughly 30-second clip video that is, I know Brian is slated to do it hopefully in the next day or two here. I know Justin wants to put this together. We put together or get finalized in the next few days, so it's ready for Monday night and thrown on social media. The COASA 143 page is just putting together this 3 or 4 minute video saying, hey, we're part of the Sidewalk Committee. These are the reasons that we put this committee, that the select board put the committee together. And get out and vote November 13th, show up at town hall. And I'll probably keep saying this over and over. I know there's only 7 of us. We all live in town. Paul, you have to be there. So I know you'll be there and your vote will count, but getting as many people there as possible. I think this is really a no-brainer. I don't think this is anyone's gonna doubt, why the town is looking for an extra, I don't know what it is, $120 or whatever it is per year, as far as taxes go for roadways that will add this $800,000 to the $1 million now. So, I do see some questions coming up, like how many more miles of roads can we get done? And why isn't this road being done? And that's when I'll tap Brian and go, Brian, this is your answer. Why isn't Beechwood being paved right now? And why isn't South Main Street being paved? And as you know, there's reasons for that. So that's Monday night. That's the big heavy lift. And then once that's done, I think we could probably easily have another meeting in a few weeks. And then it's just getting the people to the town hall meeting November 13th and seeing where this all lands. And then as we start to move on with this committee, and hopefully right after the November 13th vote and the stabilization fund is approved, then we can circle back and start to think about our prioritization list and focus in on that. And then things like Elm Street and then talk about exactly when that's done, we can look at it and kind of, maybe we should do some site visits and walk Elm Street and say, hey, this would be a great place for the crosswalk here. And this is a great place for the bike path here, et cetera, et cetera. So that's kind of laying out the next few weeks. And so, Julie, floor is yours.
I have a question. So we have the town meeting first, and we'll be taking a vote that night. Will that vote decide whether or not the sidewalks end up being on the ballot, or will it be on the ballot no matter what? I'm just not clear on which votes have to happen and when they happen.
It has to pass a town meeting, Julie. It's just on the front right now. Then if it passes, which I'm feeling pretty good about it, and that's thanks to everybody on this committee and Brian, that then it moves to the ballot and then we vote.
Excellent. So it'll be a matter of getting people there to vote at town meeting, which
Yep.
I think we can do. We've been talking about it amongst our friends, and there are so many people who are energized about this and the other topics that you've brought up, that the select board has brought up. And then it's a matter of getting a lot of people to come out and vote for the tax increase, which I think might be the more challenging part.
Well, that's why it's so nice to see like Elm Street and the streets, it's putting, some, I hate to say it, muscle behind the words.
Right.
So they're seeing it. And, that's what was kind of important to get some of these things off the ground. And also we will have mail-in voting. So things
Right.
like that can't get out. So that's where I'd be encouraging people is to get it in, get your votes in. You don't have to worry about it. And so even like last night, say this, the flavor, and I was surprised too, pleasantly, is that people aren't so much against it. Where we're bumping our heads a little bit is with capital, but that's all right. And I think that's going to work out fine. Advisory so far. Again, no one's saying, hey, hell, we want a tax increase, but also, we're trying to address every 143 question and every complaint that came down the pike. And this is roads and sidewalks are a huge component. I mean, who among us hasn't heard complaints about our roads, our sidewalks, our potholes, and everything like that? So, it's the way of getting them in line. And I'm feeling pretty good about it right now. And I think this whole committee should as well.
Yeah, again, it's getting people to that November 13th meeting. I think there'll be like hopefully a mix of a lot more younger folks, or at least parents in the room. I think obviously there'll be hopefully a lot of support for like the schools and the Deer Hill fields and the playgrounds and then the roadways. And then let's be honest, I'm stereotyping a little bit here, but it's the truth. Then you've got some of the older folks who are more interested in town hall and the fire station, police station, and hopefully it's not kind of like this, call it whatever you want, this bipartisan type of a thing here about they want this, but they don't want that, and everyone's in agreement that just says this is good for the town. Let's get it done. So that's that.
And did you say it's approximately 100 and something per household for roadways and sidewalks separately? That's what I was interested to hear today, is approximately how much
Yeah.
road and sidewalks piece, because I know if you add everything up, it can be substantial, but just our piece, what are we arguing for?
Yeah, Paul, you may know more, but when I listened to Jean the other night, she actually broke it down, and I can ask her for the presentation to get an exact number. I believe that the 10 million for the town hall was like $400 based on $1 million assessment.
House. Yeah.
It was $400. I believe the fire station was another 400. I believe roadways was like $180, maybe $200, and the fields were like 120 or something like that. So on $1 million, all in all, it was give or take like $800 or $900 roughly for all of the schools, the school stabilization, roadways, fields, police station, and in town hall was like $900 based on $1 million home.
Okay, that's excellent. Thank you very much.
But you know what? I'll get that. And Paul, I don't know if you have more information on that.
Right on you have it right on the money. I mean, we could break it down to basically it's with the whole package is roughly $80 a month, and try to maybe put it that way. But it's rounds out to a house assessed at $1 million. It's rounds out to about 820, 830 a year.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's package in.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful all will go through.
Yeah.
I'm relieved to know ours is only 100 and change. That's a bargain. And some folks may think, you know what, that's not all that much. I'm fine with voting for that. And so I think that might bode well for us.
I hope so. All right, I have to run because I've got to head back into the city with for yet another doctor appointment here. But I think that was really all I wanted to cover today, unless anybody had anything major. I don't, I'll just throw out another meeting of 2 weeks from today, if that works for everybody. I don't even know what 2 weeks from today is. What is 2 weeks from today?
October 10th?
Yeah. Can we just try and regroup again? And again, I don't have any heavy material, but just to get something on the board for our next meeting or on the schedule and the calendar, let's just shoot for October 10th. And
Jay?
Yes.
Just FYI, that's the day after Columbus Day, so I don't know if anybody's taking a long weekend.
All right. I know a lot of us have kids in school, so probably not. But is anybody taking a longer weekend? Nope. Okay. Let's shoot. I appreciate that, Carol. Let's shoot for 11:30. And
Okay.
And again, it's just a placeholder. If there's nothing going on, there's nothing to update, then we can push it. But I just wanted to get something on the calendar.
Okay.
All right. So if anybody wants to show up, Brian, let's touch. The minute the video is available, I'll send it out to the group here. I know Brian just has to do his 30-second clip, and hopefully you've had a chance to talk to Justin on that. And the minute that's available, I'll blast it out to the group here. If I see it, you do. You may see it before I do. And then hope to see anyone who wants to show up October 2nd, next Monday night at 7:00 at the high school. I'll forward the invite to everybody, or you can just join virtually. And hopefully it's a slam dunk, short and sweet meeting.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else? Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Bye.
Any opposed? All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a great week.
Have a
You
great day.
too.
Bye.
Bye.
Everyone.